Hey guys, welcome back to our little homestead in the woods here in East Tennessee. I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with our pigs now. You remember from our last video I talked about wanting to butcher the rest of them in order to kind of reduce the amount of animals and things that we have here to take care of. But I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'm going to share with you what we're decided to do with them instead. But before that, I'm going to give you a little update and show you a few things that we're working on here on the homestead with the property and the animals and that sort of thing. So our brooder here is just a temporary little brooder that I built here. You can see in one of the back rooms in the mobile home just to keep them warmer. Because we just hatched them, and I'll show you the incubator that we hatched them in. So this is our incubator. It's a Farm Innovators incubator, which we have used for years, and they always work great. This past batch we had trouble keeping the air humid, which you have to do when you're having chickens hatch, so the eggs don't dry out while they're hatching and they get stuck inside the egg. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we have a wood stove in there. We have another batch in here, and what I did was all the extra vent holes, I taped them up, and now we are able to keep our humidity above 50%. It's hard to see, but 52%, which is actually the lowest it's been since we started this batch a few days ago. The last batch we did 16 eggs, we got 4, I think because of the humidity. This time we loaded her up 42 eggs. And if anyone's curious, it's pretty much just a kind of a barnyard mix of eggs from the chickens we have currently in our coop. And we also picked up a couple dozen locally from some others. And I'll show you the chicks that we just had hatch. So there's 4 of them. All right, now let's take you outside and show you what we got going on out there with the pigs and the other chickens. I'm walking from the house down here to where we have the chicken coop, which I think I showed you in a previous video. You can see some of the chickens are out and some of the chickens are in, and that's because hatching eggs, you don't ever know what you're gonna get, so you end up with a lot of roosters. And so I like to free range the roosters because then I don't have to feed them. I don't want to, pay to feed animals that aren't going to be giving us food back, and I figure they get to live a nice free range natural life outdoors, and I wanted to kind of experiment to see how that would work around here, and surprisingly it's worked pretty well. We've had the roosters outside for some time now, and they've been doing perfectly fine. We do have one hen that also free ranges out here. She doesn't lay. I think it's a Cornish cross that was kind of fell off a truck, to be honest. But we figure give her a good life out here in the woods, and as long as they hang around here by our house and our property, they seem to be left alone by animals for now. I know somebody's going to say something about that, but they may eventually get picked off, who knows, but they're going to live a lot longer life than if we just grab and butcher them now. There's that, and then if we decide later to butcher them as they grow and eat off the property, then we have that option. And then in here we have 9 hens and 2 roosters, which keeps us stocked with eggs and fertile eggs when we want to incubate. So that kind of works out nice. And that's about as many chickens that we want to put in this chicken coop. So the fact that we have 4 babies and 42 eggs in an incubator, guess what? I'm going to be building another chicken coop. Yeah, stay tuned for that. We are getting about 3 to 5 eggs a day out of 9 hens, which is actually pretty good, I think, for February. Winter, they tend to slow down, so we're doing pretty good. They started doing a lot better when we built a run for them and they got to be outdoors, and then we put a light in their chicken coop. And I also started supplementing their food with things that we don't eat that we have in the house, and I've just been mixing up some mash of stuff that would be good for them, and they seem to really like it. So happy chickens, more eggs. And like I said, I'll tell you more about the mobile home and where we're at with that, but you can see we have been working on it. There's actually some debris out front of the house that we need to clean up. Things got slowed down a little bit because during December and January, with all the rain that we had, it got really nasty out here with all the red clay and the mud, because we are under construction here and have done a lot of excavating, it turned everything into just a big mud pool. And so that became a lot of work. So back to talking about the pigs. If you remember, here's the pen they were in. Unfortunately, with the rain in December and January, it got really muddy in here and not an ideal living situation for them. So I quickly needed to get them out of this mess. So you can see I opened up the back of the pen there, and I'll show you what we did around the back side of it. All this plastic is here because we had that extreme weather during the holidays, and so I wrapped their whole pen with plastic to keep the wind out. Now we got this mess to clean up. What I originally did was built a little fence back here so they could come out here, and I took that opportunity to train them. They were trained little on electric fence, but it had been several months since they had kind of destroyed the electric fence they had inside there. So I decided I'll put an electric fence up out here and train them on it. And you can see they bedded down in here, and they kind of grazed out in here. It's not a very big area, very small little area, but I built this so they could come out here and have a drier, more comfortable spot while we built their new paddock way over there. Hi, Belle. So on our way over there, I'll just talk a little about the last video I did where I was mentioning, needing to focus on our living situation, which I am doing. There's a few little things I'm doing, and I'll go over that with you in another video. So we are working more on that. But at the same time, butchering the pigs was actually going to create a lot of work for me, there being 4 of them. And then I thought to myself, I could put that same amount of effort, if not probably less, into building them a pen out here in the woods, or what you'd call a paddock out here in the woods. And it'll actually save me some work in the long run, because these little 4-legged excavators, they're going to help with all of this undergrowth. So that's going to open up the woods a lot more for us. So now these guys are in a paddock that goes about 100 feet down. I'll walk down and show you a little bit here. This is a trail. It looked like an old logging road that I just opened up with the excavator, and it goes most of the way back to the back part of the property. But here you can see the fence, and these guys are following me because they think I have some food for them, which I'm going to go get shortly. So what this is, and if anyone's ever curious and wants me to go over this more, but basically it's a 2-wire fence, really. The top wire is the ground wire, which comes out to here into a ground pole in the ground. So I grounded it in 3 different sections since it's a big area, and I wanted to make sure it was well grounded. The 2 bottom lines are electrified, and once they were trained on that little pen and we brought them over here, they instantly respected this electric fence, which worked out great. So, and they are a heck of a lot happier because they can dig and root out here where there's fresh ground that's never been dug and it's not all muddy. So they also can build little bedding and stuff with the leaves, and they're a lot more comfortable out here. I do need to build them a shelter. Luckily we don't have rain in the forecast for a few more days, so I'm hoping to get at least something out here so they can be undercover when it rains. But either way, I don't think they're going to be bothered by it too much since the weather's warming up. So you can see the fence curves into the woods right here, and then goes up and around over the hill on the other side and turns and comes back up to where we started. So you can see they have a heck of a lot more room. We figure it's about 6,000 square feet they have now. And then we're going to open that up more. As you can see, our property goes back. You can see where there's like a bit of a hill or mountain back there. Our property goes back to the base of that, probably another 1,000 feet or so from where we're standing. And so eventually I want to run their paddock deeper and deeper into the woods, and they'll be able to help us open up all this low underbrush here and tear out all these little saplings and turn the ground over. In the woods here, there was a lot of poison ivy when we first got here, and so we're figuring with them being out here, turning all of this over and tearing the roots out, That should help quite a bit. So yeah, that's our plans for the pigs and keeping them here. And then of course over time, we have one male in here with 3 females, so, and he's uncut, so as you can imagine, eventually we're gonna have more than 4 pigs. So when that time comes, that'll be a good time to expand the pen. That'll give them at least a couple more months in here. But as you can see, this area was all full of oak leaves or leaves from the woods. And you can see it's already clearing out, and you can see the chickens are in here helping them along with that. It'll all be fertilized, and then potentially can grow some grass and things in here. I'll cut out a lot of the dead trees once they're finished with it. You can see I just built these little feeders out of half barrels. I think they're 30-gallon plastic barrels. Just cut them in half and built a wooden frame and screwed them to that, and so those work pretty good for the feed. Eventually I got to do that same thing for water, but for now we just have the bottom of this pickle barrel that we're using, which we need to fill. I have water here for that. Give them some water. Gonna feed them this morning. Mr. Man over there is just laying down and chilling. So I'm gonna go grab some of their feed and let you watch them eat. First, gotta give them some water. Yeah, and you can see why they need a bigger trough for water. We'll work on that today. They're like kids, they fight. So what I do here is a couple times a day, I'll give them, it's about 8 or so pounds of feed, and then I'll just throw in probably about the same of corn, and then I'll just mix it together, and it just gives them a little treat, helps them bulk up a little bit because they're burning more calories now being out in the woods, so that kind of helps with that, and also helps them get a little bit bigger, which I believe is going to be better for them for breeding. All those extra calories for growing the babies. All right, let's go bring these pigs some food. This is one of my favorite parts of the day. A lot of times I'll get up in the morning and I'll grab my coffee and I'll just sit over here. I'll grab their feed, I'll flip the bucket upside down, I'll sit on the bucket, I'll just watch them eat, hang out. Little morning wake up time, some coffee. Get to kind of enjoy watching the animals eat and thrive off of all the work we've done. So I'm going to open the gate here. I'm going to pull that top ground wire off just so I can get over. All right, so go in and feed them. They're going nuts. There's their feeders. I got one here and one over there. 2 in one feeder, 2 in the other. I try to get it so they split up and don't fight over their food. But it's kind of hard because once you put food in one of the feeders, they all just want to stay there. And so even once I go down to the other one and pour food in it, they'll see me down there, but they'll stay up here, like as if there's nothing on the other end. I don't know if they like doubt that I'm actually giving them food in the other feeder or what, but so what I'm thinking I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna take this one and screw it right into the side of this one so it just makes one big long feeder. This way when I feed them, I can put all the food in one and then the other right next to it, and they'll see it's right there and they can just hop over. Because it seems like 2 to one of these feeders works out pretty good. And of course I can buy feeders at the store, which will cost quite a bit more. These barrels, they said they were 50-gallon barrels. I don't think they are. I think they're only like 30-gallon barrels, but they're only $10. So cut one in half and it makes 2 little troughs here. So it kind of works out good. So I'm going to do that with another barrel, cut it in half, and I'm going to make a couple for water. And then I'll probably screw those together as well. And then of course over time I'll have to make more, but I picked up 4 barrels while I was there. We should have enough barrels to keep us going for a little while. And then of course the wood to make these little frames. It's pretty easy. If you ever want to know how I make these, let me know in the comment section and I'll do a quick little video on how I put them together, but they're pretty simple. Just cut the barrel in half. I used a reciprocating saw. Some people use a grinding wheel. And then basically just build a frame and screw it down inside of it so they can't flip it over. And it seems to work pretty well so far. Of course, when they get bigger, time will tell. So this is a typical morning for me anyway. It's a little later in the day than I usually start, but typically in the morning I'll grab my coffee and I'll feed the pigsies, give them some water, turn the bucket upside down here, and I'll just sit and watch them. So sometimes I wonder if they're all getting the same amount of food. But of course you can't just ration it to each animal because they're obviously not going to abide by any rules. I don't know about you, but I kind of find it relaxing just sitting out here. You hear the roosters in the background, the birds on the trees, pigs just eating, dogs walking around doing their thing, watching the cats play in the woods. Sure beats city life. So now you can see what my plans are with these pigs. You can see that at this point, now that I've gotten this fence up, which I was kind of reluctant to do because I didn't want to buy fencing since I have a sawmill. So I just wanted to give you an update and show you where we are with the property and our animals. We're just going to take things slow, one step at a time. It seems to be working out pretty well that way. Appreciate you guys all watching and following along. I hope you enjoy this content. If you guys have any questions or anything else that you want to see here on the homestead, just put it down in the comment section below. Let me know. That's it for today. I'm going to get to work. Until next time, guys. We'll see you on the next video. Take care.